Welcome to the Daily Globe. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In the heart of Central America, a bold and ambitious plan is quietly taking shape. One that could alter the very fabric of global commerce and international relations. This project has the potential to not only reshape global trade routes, but also to shift the balance of geopolitical power in ways the world hasn't seen in decades. Nicaragua, a nation long marked by political and economic turmoil, is now poised to carve a new canal linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, directly challenging the century-old Panama Canal and its dominance over maritime trade. But this is more than just a feat of engineering. It signals a new era of Chinese influence, reaching deep into what was once considered America's strategic backyard, and redefining alliances in the region. Announced in late 2024, the project aims to ease global shipping bottlenecks, offering an alternative route for the world's largest cargo ships, and securing China a vital trade corridor, one that operates independently of U.S. oversight and control. With projected costs soaring to an astonishing $80 billion, the canal stands as a bold declaration of Beijing's ambition to cement its superpower status, while showcasing its technological and financial might on the world stage. For Nicaragua, led by President Ortega and increasingly isolated by international sanctions, this partnership with China is both a much-needed economic lifeline and a source of new dependency, raising questions about sovereignty and the future of the nation. As agreements are signed, blueprints drawn, and new shipping routes charted, the world watches closely, bracing for a transformative chapter in maritime history, one that promises opportunity for some and uncertainty for others. The consequences of this colossal gamble will echo for generations, shaping the destiny of nations and the lives of ordinary people along the banks of this new global crossroads. The dream of a Nicaraguan canal dates back to the 16th century, when the world was still being mapped and explorers were searching for new routes to connect distant continents. Nicaragua, with its vast lakes and narrow land bridge, seemed like the perfect place for a waterway that could link the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Spanish explorers imagined a shortcut between oceans, envisioning a passage that would transform global trade and reshape the balance of power in the Americas. For centuries, global powers vied for control of this strategic corridor, recognizing its immense potential to change the course of history. The US and Britain struck uneasy deals, each hoping to secure their own interests in the region and outmaneuver their rivals. Tycoons like Cornelius Vanderbilt even proved the route's viability, running steamships across Nicaragua and fueling dreams of a canal that would rival any in the world. But in the early 1900s, political instability and a timely volcanic eruption shifted US focus to Panama, where conditions seemed more favorable for such a massive engineering feat. As a result, Nicaragua's canal dream faded into the background, its abandoned plans and overgrown sites a testament to what might have been. Yet, the idea never truly died, resurfacing in 2013 with a bold, Chinese-backed plan that promised to revive the centuries-old vision and bring new hope to the country. However, this ambitious project soon collapsed amid widespread protests, environmental concerns, and mounting financial doubts, leaving many to wonder if the canal would ever be built. In 2024, the project was officially canceled, seemingly ending the story for good and dashing the hopes of those who still believed in the dream. But within months, the canal dream was reborn, this time with the full, unwavering backing of the Chinese state, signaling a new era of international partnership and ambition. Now, Nicaragua stands at the threshold of finally realizing a vision 5 centuries in the making, with the world's eyes fixed on what could become one of the most transformative infrastructure projects of our time. The stakes are higher than ever, as global trade, geopolitics, and the environment all hang in the balance. The world is watching closely, waiting to see what happens next. Will this be the moment Nicaragua finally steps out of Panama's shadow and claims its place in history? The revived Nicaragua Canal is no longer a speculative venture. It's a core part of China's global strategy. CAMC Engineering, a Chinese state giant, has signed on to build a deep-water port at Bluefields, the canal's Caribbean gateway. The 445-kilometer route, will cut through artificial lakes and Lake Managua, ending at an expanded Pacific port in Corinto. Designed for the world's largest ships, the canal's $50–80 billion price tag is only possible with Chinese capital and expertise. Nicaragua's government, dominated by Ortega's Sandinistas, has fast-tracked legal approvals, bypassing the delays that doomed earlier attempts. The message is clear. China and Nicaragua are determined to make this centuries-old dream a reality. Fast. The world's shipping lanes may soon be redrawn. For the United States, the prospect of a Chinese-backed canal in Nicaragua is more than just a new infrastructure project. It's a direct challenge to American influence and long-standing interests in the Western Hemisphere. The idea of a rival waterway, potentially controlled by a strategic competitor, has set off alarm bells in Washington. The Panama Canal has long been a linchpin of American strategy, both economically and militarily. For over a century, it has symbolized U.S. power and connectivity in the region. The thought of a competing canal, especially one under Chinese influence, is deeply unsettling for American policymakers, who see it as a potential threat to the status quo. In response, Washington has adopted a dual approach, publicly voicing caution while privately applying diplomatic pressure. U.S. officials have raised concerns about the project's transparency, its environmental impact, and the security implications for the region. These issues are not just talking points. They reflect genuine anxieties about the canal's broader consequences. There are growing fears that the canal could one day serve as a base for Chinese naval assets, giving Beijing a strategic foothold in Central America. Such a development would alter the balance of power and could complicate U.S. military and commercial operations in the region. Chinese investments in Panamanian infrastructure have already raised alarms in Washington as they signal Beijing's expanding reach. The Nicaragua Canal project, however, is seen as an even bolder and more provocative move, one that could reshape regional dynamics for decades to come. To counter this, the U.S. is expected to ramp up its diplomatic and economic engagement, working closely with allies and regional partners. American officials are likely to emphasize the risks associated with the canal, from environmental degradation to the erosion of sovereignty and security. Yet, there's a risk that too much pressure could backfire, pushing Nicaragua even further into China's orbit and deepening divisions in the region. The United States now faces a delicate balancing act, as it seeks to defend its interests without alienating its neighbors or escalating tensions unnecessarily. The regional order is being tested in ways not seen in generations. The stakes for American influence in its own hemisphere have rarely been higher, and the outcome of this contest could shape the future of the Americas for years to come. For Panama, the Nicaraguan Canal is an existential threat. The Panama Canal is the nation's economic lifeblood, handling up to 6% of global maritime trade. But drought has crippled its capacity, slashing ship traffic and revenues, and exposing the need for alternatives. China and Nicaragua are poised to exploit this vulnerability with a canal designed for the world's largest ships. Panama, caught between U.S. and Chinese rivalry, must protect its interests without alienating either superpower. Recent moves to limit Chinese involvement signal Panama's alignment with the U.S., but at a cost. The country's future now hinges on how it navigates this new era of competition. The shadow of a new canal looms large over Panama's fortunes. For impoverished Nicaragua, the canal promises a leap to prosperity. Tens of thousands of jobs, new infrastructure, and a flood of transit fees. But the $80 billion price tag is a monumental gamble, with financing details murky and the risk of debt to China looming large. Skeptics question whether the canal can attract enough traffic, especially with new regional alternatives emerging. The project could transform Nicaragua's economy, or trap it in dependency and debt. Plans for free trade zones and new airports offer hope of diversification, but also risk over-reliance on a single foreign partner. If China's priorities shift, Nicaragua could be left vulnerable. The canal's promise is real, but so is the peril. The canal's route slices through fragile rainforests, wetlands, and watersheds, threatening ecosystems and water sources. Lake Managua now faces risks of contamination and habitat destruction from dredging and construction. Environmental assessments are being rushed, critics warn, with little independent oversight. The canal zone is seismically active, raising fears of disaster if an earthquake strikes. Indigenous and rural communities face displacement, with past protests met by government crackdowns. Ortega's regime has a record of suppressing dissent, and fair compensation seems unlikely. The project pits national ambition against the rights and futures of those in its path. The scars, environmental and social, could last for generations. Experts are sharply divided on the canal's prospects. Shipping analysts see a market for a larger, more reliable route, especially as Panama struggles. But many economists warn the $80 billion cost may never be recouped, leaving Nicaragua exposed if China's strategic interests shift. Geopolitical analysts agree. The canal is a major escalation in US-China rivalry, giving Beijing leverage in America's backyard. Environmental scientists warn of irreversible damage, while human rights advocates decry the lack of transparency and consultation. The project's commercial logic is secondary to its geopolitical stakes. Nicaragua is gambling its future on a project whose true costs may only become clear decades from now. The world's experts agree on one thing: the risks are as great as the rewards. The Nicaragua Canal embodies the defining tensions of our era: rising superpowers, global trade, and environmental crisis. Its outcome will signal the future of regional power and the fate of countless lives. Can prosperity be achieved without irreparable harm? Can two canals coexist, or will one fail? The answers will shape Nicaragua, the region, and the world. This is a high-stakes gamble. Triumph or disaster, transformation or cautionary tale. As the first shovels break ground, the world watches, knowing history is being written in Central America. The tides of global power are shifting, and the consequences will be felt for generations.